Wind clawed at Marcus Hale's jacket as he walked across the old steel truss bridge, the river below churning like it carried every secret the city ever buried. He just wanted air. Just 10 quiet minutes to clear the noise in his head after another meeting where younger, louder men pretended they understood infrastructure better than the man who built half the city's arteries. A patrol cruiser rolled up behind him, tires grinding against metal grates. Marcus stiffened. He'd done nothing. Only walking, but a familiar weight pressed against his ribs anyway. Officer Kurt Dorn stepped out, hand resting on his holster, jaw flexing with the confidence of someone who'd never been told no in his life. "Hey," Dorn called out. "Bridge isn't for wandering, boy." The words sliced clean and cold. Marcus turned slowly, breath catching. "I'm just walking. Fresh air." "That's so." Dorn stepped closer, flashlight already angled toward Marcus's face. "Show ID, and don't get clever." The beam burned white across Marcus's eyes. He raised both hands slightly, palms open. Cars passed behind them, drivers glancing and then looking away. Quick practice avoidance. "Sir," Marcus said quietly, "there's no cause." "I decide cause," Dorn snapped. "People like you don't roam around restricted structures unless they're planning something." A gust of river wind roared through the girders. And then Dorn reached for his radio. "This is Unit 3. Possible suspicious actor. Standing by to detain." Marcus's pulse thudded. The radio crackled back. Then, chillingly, "Proceed." Everything in Marcus's life shifted with that single word. The wind pressed hard across the bridge, rattling the metal beams above Marcus Hale as he paced slowly toward the midpoint. He liked the structure, the symmetry, the math of it. He had helped design the original reinforcement plan decades ago, back before people forgot his name and remembered only the asphalt they drove over. He heard the cruiser before he saw it. Tires scraped. A door slammed. "Hey!" a voice barked. "Bridge isn't open for strolling. What are you doing out here?" Marcus turned, hands visible. "Just walking, officer. Needed some air." Officer Kurt Dorn strode toward him, the harsh wind flattening his uniform against the broad chest. "Show ID." "For walking." Dorn narrowed his eyes. "Don't start." "ID now." Marcus reached carefully into his jacket. "It's in my inside pocket, just so you know where my hand's going." "Keep your hands where I can see them." Dorn snapped. "You narrating every move because you think I'm nervous?" "I'm trying not to make you nervous," Marcus replied quietly. A moment of charged silence. Cars rolled past, drivers glancing at the scene, then looking away. Marcus felt their avoidance like a physical weight. Dorn stepped closer. "What's your purpose on this bridge?" "Purpose," Marcus repeated. "I'm exercising. At night, in a restricted structural zone. This bridge isn't restricted. People like you don't decide that." Marcus swallowed. "People like me? You heard me." The air tightened between them. Marcus handed over his ID. Dorn barely looked at it before scoffing. "Engineer? Really?" "Yes." "Civil structural. 30 years. "That's cute," Dorn muttered, clicking his radio. "Dispatch. I got a suspicious male loitering near critical infrastructure." Marcus stiffened. "Officer, I'm not loitering. I'm quiet." "I've worked on this bridge," Marcus said, voice trembling not with fear, but insult. "Literally this one." "Sure you did." The radio crackled. "Proceed if necessary." Dorn gestured sharply. "Turn around." "For what?" "Detention for questioning." "I've answered your questions." "Turn. Around." Wind roared to the girders as Marcus slowly complied. His hands met cold metal as Dorn cuffed him. Not roughly, but with the certainty of a man who believed he could do no wrong. "This isn't necessary," Marcus murmured. "It is for my safety." "And mine." "That's on you." Dorn guided him toward the cruiser. Marcus walked stiffly, humiliation burning in his throat. Inside the car, the door slammed with finality that made his chest tighten. Dorn leaned in. "Next time, don't wander where you don't belong." Marcus met his gaze through the dividing glass. Officer, this bridge would have collapsed years ago if not for my work. Save it, Dorn scoffed. You're going downtown. The cruiser pulled away, red and blue lights reflecting across the river as Marcus stared at the metal structure, his structure, shrinking behind him. A bridge he built. A bridge he was arrested for walking on. The fluorescent lights inside the precinct hummed with a cold, buzzing indifference. Marcus sat on the metal bench, cuffs removed but dignity still bruised. Officer Dorn stood across the room filling out paperwork with the intense, impatient scratches of someone writing a complaint rather than a report. A younger officer, badge reading Owen, glanced between Marcus and Dorn with growing discomfort. Owen cleared his throat. What exactly happened out there? Dorn didn't look up. Suspicious behavior on the bridge. Non-compliant. I wasn't non-compliant, Marcus said steadily. Dorn shot him a glare. You spoke without being asked. Owen rubbed his temples. That's not non-compliant, sir. It is when someone refuses to explain themselves properly. Dorn snapped. Marcus inhaled slowly. Officer Owen, right? Owen nodded. I'm a civil engineer. Senior level. I was taking a walk on a structure I helped reinforce. Dorn barked a bitter laugh. Yeah, sure. You built the bridge. I didn't build it, Marcus replied calmly. I redesigned its load-bearing support plan in '08. Owen froze. His eyes sharpened. What's your name again? Marcus Hale. Owen blinked. Once, twice. Like the name struck a memory. Dorn scoffed. Don't humor him. But Marcus watched Owen's expression shift, recognition creeping in like a slow dawn. You presented at the municipal conference 2 years ago, Owen said, on seismic load redistribution. Dorn paused mid-scribble. What conference? Owen ignored him. He stepped closer to Marcus. You're that Marcus Hale? Marcus nodded quietly. That's me. Owen's jaw tightened. Why didn't you say that earlier? I did, Marcus said softly. Dorn wasn't interested. Dorn slammed his pen down. I wasn't interested in being lied to. It wasn't a lie, Owen said. He's one of the most respected engineers in the region. And I should care because... Dorn fired back. Owen stared at him. Because detaining a nationally recognized engineer for walking on a bridge is... Watch your tone. No, Owen said firmly. This is a problem. The room shifted, small, invisible tension lines snapping into place. Marcus folded his hands, steadying himself. He didn't want pity. He wanted truth. Officer Dorn, he said, I handed you my ID. You didn't even read it. I read enough, Dorn muttered. My name doesn't sound threatening to you. Threat isn't the issue. Then what is? Marcus asked. Dorn's silence answered for him. Owen exhaled sharply. We need to fix this before it escalates. Dorn crossed his arms. There's nothing to fix. He's not a suspect. He was acting suspicious. No, he wasn't. Owen interrupted. You assumed he was. Dorn's face darkened. Are you accusing me of something? I'm stating facts. Marcus watched them. The two officers representing the system he knew too well. One defensive, one conflicted, both trapped inside a uniform that shielded and constrained them. Owen turned back to Marcus. Mr. Hale, I'm sorry. Truly, you shouldn't be here. Marcus spoke carefully. Officer Owen, I don't want trouble for you. I understand how departments work. Yeah, Owen murmured. I know you do. Dorn grabbed the report and stalked toward the holding door. Put him in intake. We'll sort this out later. Owen stepped in front of him. Sir, that's not necessary. It is if I say it is. He hasn't committed a crime. Suspicious behavior is reason enough. No, it isn't, Owen insisted. Not when it's based on assumption. Dorn's nostrils flared. Move. Owen didn't. For a moment, Dorn's hand hovered near his belt. Not touching, but close enough for Marcus's stomach to twist. Marcus raised a hand cautiously. Please, don't escalate this. I don't want anyone hurt. Owen stepped back only when Marcus nodded. Fine, but he shouldn't be kept. Dorn smirked triumphantly and opened the door. Sit tight, hell. You'll be processed. Marcus was led into a small room lined with peeling paint and a single camera watching from above. Owen lingered in the doorway. Marcus, I'm going to talk to the lieutenant. This is wrong. Thank you, Marcus murmured. Dorn shoved the door closed behind him. Don't make friends in here. You won't be staying long. Marcus stared at the camera, its red recording light blinking steadily. He'd survived worse than this. But then, just as he lowered his head, the station intercom crackled to life. Attention! Command call incoming. All units hold. Owen's voice whispered from behind the door. They found out who he is. The room went quiet. A storm was forming on the other side of the wall, and Marcus braced himself. The intercom tone chimed again, sharp, urgent, and every officer in the building paused mid-movement. Marcus sat alone in the intake room, staring at the tiny red light above the door as muffled voices rose in the hallway. Then, Lieutenant Carson, Line 1, City Command. City Command. Marcus's breath caught in his throat. High-level officials never called a precinct unless something had gone terribly wrong. Bootsteps approached. Owen's voice hissed outside the door. Lieutenant, Look, you need to hear this before. But the lieutenant cut him off. Not now, Owen. I have command on hold. Silence. A door shut. Minutes dragged like stones across concrete. Inside the intake room, Marcus rubbed his hands together, grounding himself. He didn't want anger, didn't want revenge. He wanted acknowledgement, justice, not spectacle. The door flew open. Lieutenant Carson entered, face pale with the strained professionalism of someone trying to stay calm under political fire. Mr. Hale, he said stiffly, you're being released. Marcus blinked. Just like that. Carson's jaw tightened. I was informed you were taken into custody without sufficient cause. Because there was no cause, Owen muttered behind him. Carson shot him a warning look. Dorn barreled in after them, indignation radiating off him like heat. Lieutenant, we can't just release him. We can, Carson snapped. We will. Dorn squared his shoulders. He was acting suspiciously. No, Owen said, stepping forward. He wasn't, and you know it. Carson glared at both of them. Officer Dorn, command was quite clear. Mr. Hale should never have been detained. Command? Dorn scoffed. Why does command care about some guy loitering on a bridge? Carson inhaled sharply. Because some guy happens to be the principal engineer behind the city's entire southeast transportation network. Dorn's face twitched. Owen added quietly, including the bridge you said he didn't belong on. Marcus didn't gloat, didn't smirk. He just watched Dorn certainty collapse inch by inch. Dorn stammered, that doesn't mean he wasn't acting weird. Marcus finally spoke. Taking a walk is weird? You were pacing, Dorn insisted. I was thinking. You looked angry. I'm often angry, Marcus said softly. It's part of living here. Carson cut in. Enough. Mr. Hale, you are free to go. Officer Owen will escort you out. Dorn stepped forward. Lieutenant, I refuse to let this get pinned on me. I follow procedure. No, Carson replied coldly. You followed bias. The room froze. Even Owen looked stunned at the lieutenant's bluntness. Dorn's voice cracked with suppressed fury. You're taking his side? I'm taking the side of the law, Carson said. And the city? Dorn scoffed. The city only cares because he's important. Marcus clenched his jaw. Everyone should be important. Officer Dorn. My job shouldn't change how I'm treated. That's not how the world works, Dorn muttered bitterly. Owen stared at him. It could, though. Carson turned to Marcus. Let's finish processing your release. Marcus stood. His legs felt heavy, not from defeat, but the weight of everything unsaid. As they walked through the hallway, officers pretended not to stare. Some recognized him. Most didn't, but they all felt the shift in air, the tension, the embarrassment, the unwelcome truth that privilege had rushed in to correct what prejudice had created. At the front desk, Carson handed Marcus a clipboard. If you want to file an official complaint, he said, voice wooden. "This is the form." Marcus didn't take it. "Not tonight." "You should," Owen murmured. Carson stiffened. "Officer Owen, I'm not speaking out of turn, sir. It would help accountability." Carson didn't respond. Marcus exhaled. "Right now, I just want to go home." Owen nodded, opening the door for him. "I'll walk you out." Dorn's voice echoed down the hallway. "This isn't over." Marcus paused and turned slightly. "You're right," he said evenly. "It isn't." Their eyes locked, one burning with resentment, the other with weary clarity. Outside, the night wind cut through Marcus's jacket. Owen walked beside him in silence until they reached the front steps. "I'm sorry," Owen said quietly, "for all of it. You weren't the one who detained me." "No," Owen said, "but I wore the same uniform." Marcus studied him, a young man caught between loyalty and conscience. "You try to help," Marcus said gently. "That matters. It doesn't feel like enough." "Nothing ever does," Marcus murmured. "But it's a start." A black sedan pulled up. Marcus's phone buzzed, an unknown number. He answered. A calm, authoritative voice spoke. "Mr. Hale, this is Deputy Commissioner Laren. We were informed of an incident tonight. I'd like to speak with you first thing in the morning." Marcus swallowed. "Of course." "And Mr. Hale?" "Yes." "We're deeply concerned about how you were treated. Expect follow-up." The call ended. Marcus stared at the phone. Owen raised an eyebrow. "Command again?" "Higher." "What are they going to do?" "I don't know," Marcus said quietly. "But the precinct won't forget tonight." The sedan door opened for him. As Marcus climbed inside, he glanced back at the building, cold lights, heavy shadows, and a system shifting uneasily under the weight of exposure. He wasn't free. Not truly. But something had cracked. And cracks, he knew, could bring whole structures down. Marcus sat at the kitchen table long after midnight, a cup of untouched tea cooling beside him. The house was quiet except for the soft ticking of the wall clock and the distant hum of late-night traffic. Vehicles running over highways he designed, moving smoothly because of calculations he had spent years perfecting. Yet tonight, none of that offered comfort. The front door opened. "Dad?" A voice called gently. "You're still up?" His daughter, Ariel, stepped into the kitchen, law textbook under one arm, worry etched on her face. Marcus tried for a smile. "Couldn't sleep?" "You never stay up like this." "What happened?" He hesitated. She pulled out the chair beside him. "Dad, talk to me." Marcus exhaled slowly. "I was detained tonight." Ariel's eyes widened. "Detained? For what?" "Walking." "Walking where?" "On the old river bridge." Ariel stiffened. "Dad, what exactly did they say?" Marcus rubbed his forehead. "Officer claimed I was acting suspiciously. Asked for ID. Didn't believe it. Detained me anyway." Ariel slammed her book on the table. "This is ridiculous. They can't just—" "They can," Marcus murmured. "And they did." Ariel pushed back her chair, pacing. "Who was the officer?" "Name was Dorn." She froze. "Dorn? I've heard about him. In school, some students mentioned profiling complaints. Unofficial ones." Marcus's shoulders sagged. "I didn't want you to worry." "Dad, you should have called me right away." "You were studying." "This is more important than studying." He shook his head. "No, your education is everything." She softened, but only slightly. "Did anyone help you?" "Owen, young officer." He tried. Ariel folded her arms. "And now?" "Deputy Commissioner called. Wants to meet." "That means they know they messed up." Marcus stared at his hands. "I don't want this to turn into a spectacle." Ariel sat again, leaning forward. "Dad, listen to me. You've spent your entire life trying to prove your worth, so you wouldn't have to deal with things like this. But they still happened. They still happen." "I know," Marcus whispered. "Walking while black shouldn't be grounds for suspicion." He winced. "I'm tired, Ariel. For decades, I believed being excellent would shield me." Ariel's voice gentled. "Excellence doesn't stop prejudice. You taught me that." He looked up. Have I? Yes, she said. Every time you came home exhausted from a meeting where they overlooked you. Every time you solved a crisis those same people caused. Every time you said nothing because you didn't want trouble. Marcus looked away, throat burning. Ariel reached out and squeezed his hand. Dad, this time you shouldn't stay quiet. He swallowed. I don't want revenge. Good, she said, because justice is a revenge. He breathed in deeply. They're going to ask for a statement. They'll want details. And you should give them. What if they twist it? Marcus asked. What if they protect him? They can try, Ariel said, but the truth is bigger than one report. He chuckled bitterly. You sound like your mother. I sound like your daughter, she corrected. Silence settled, warm and heavy. Ariel studied his face. Did he hurt you? No, Marcus said, but humiliation hurts just as much. Ariel's voice cracked. I wish I had been there. No, Marcus said quickly. I never want you near someone like that. She wiped her eyes. But, Dad, he needs to be held accountable. Marcus leaned back, staring at the ceiling. When I designed those highways, I believed infrastructure could heal a city, connect people, make life smoother. Ariel tilted her head. And now I wonder if concrete is easier to shape than hearts. She touched his arm. Maybe, but someone has to try. He exhaled. What if I make things worse? For who? Ariel asked. For him? Or for you? Marcus didn't answer. Ariel stood again, determination sparking in her eyes. Tomorrow morning, you're meeting with the deputy commissioner, right? Marcus nodded. Then after that, she said, we file a formal complaint. Ariel, no. You've spent your whole life solving problems for this city. Now let the city fix a problem it created for you. His voice trembled. I'm afraid. Being afraid doesn't make you weak. Marcus closed his eyes. Ariel softened her tone. Dad, something happened tonight. Something that crossed a line. And if you don't speak up, Dorn will do it again. To someone younger. Someone without your credentials. Someone without a daughter fighting for them. She wasn't wrong. And the thought shook Marcus more than any flashlight in his face ever had. After a long moment, he nodded. Okay. Ariel's shoulders relaxed. Good. We'll handle it together. Marcus squeezed her hand. Thank you. She smiled faintly. Get some sleep? Tomorrow we start building something else. As Ariel left the kitchen, Marcus stared again at the untouched tea. Bruised, yes, but standing. Because tomorrow, for the first time in a long time, he wouldn't be standing alone. The next morning, the police administration building loomed tall and glassy, reflecting a city that pretended at transparency while hiding its shadows behind policy and paperwork. Marcus stood in the lobby with Ariel beside him, both dressed formally, him in a blazer he hadn't worn in years, her clutching a notebook filled with statutes and procedures. A receptionist greeted them mechanically. Name? Marcus Hale, he replied softly. Her eyes flicked up, recognition flashing across her expression. Deputy Commissioner Laren is expecting you. Please sign in. Ariel whispered, They're nervous. Marcus nodded. They should be. They were ushered into a conference room where Deputy Commissioner Laren, a silver-haired man with a politician's practiced frown, stood to greet them. Mr. Hale, Laren said, shaking his hand with both of his. I want to start by saying we deeply regret what happened last night. Marcus Saturday, do you regret it? Or regret being informed of it? Laren faltered just a moment. I regret the incident itself. I regret that an officer treated you in a way that failed policy and failed basic respect. Ariel leaned forward. And what failures are you referring to, specifically? Laren cleared his throat. The officer's judgment appeared compromised by implicit biases. Implicit? Ariel echoed sharply. He called my father suspicious for walking. Laren lifted his palms. I understand your frustration. We are reviewing his conduct. Reviewing? Marcus repeated flatly. Not disciplining? Investigations take time, Mr. Hale. Ariel muttered under her breath. Convenient. Laren continued. To move forward, we'd like your statement regarding the encounter. Details will help assess the breach. Marcus folded his hands. And what exactly happens to this officer after that? There are protocols. Yes, Marcus interrupted. Protocols that Officer Dorn likely knows how to navigate. A long silence. Ariel tapped her notebook. We're filing a formal complaint after this meeting. We wanted to hear what the department intended first. Laren exhaled heavily. We expected as much. Before he could say more, two internal affairs officers entered the room, Inspector Vega and Sergeant Morrow. Vega spoke first. Mr. Hale, we want you to know that we're taking this seriously. Ariel eyed them. Then let's talk facts. Vega opened a tablet. According to Officer Dorn's report, you were pacing erratically and refusing lawful orders. Marcus flinched. I never refused anything. He claims you raised your voice. I didn't, Marcus said firmly. Not once. He also says you made vague, concerning statements about the bridge. Ariel's jaw dropped. That's a complete fabrication. Morrow shifted awkwardly, avoiding eye contact. Marcus leaned forward. I said I worked on the bridge. I explained my background. How is that concerning? Vega hesitated. Dorn interpreted it as evasive. That's not interpretation, Ariel said coldly. That's invention. Morrow finally spoke. We need your version so we can compare accounts. Marcus clasped his hands tightly. Fine, I'll tell you. For the next 15 minutes, Marcus recounting the incident. Every word, every movement, every assumption Dorn made. Ariel added clarifications, highlighting procedural failures. When he finished, Vega nodded slowly. Your statement contradicts Dorn's report on several key points. Ariel smirked. Several? Morrow sighed. Oh. Laren rubbed his forehead. This is problematic. Marcus stared at him. Problematic for whom? For the department, Laren admitted. This is going to attract attention. Ariel lifted a brow. And you're concerned with PR? We're concerned with fairness, Vega corrected. Fairness would have been not detaining him, Ariel said. Laren tried again. We don't want this mishandled. There will be political pressure, media pressure. You mean accountability? Marcus said quietly. Vega looked at Marcus with something close to sympathy. Mr. Hale, it's very likely Dorn embellished his report to justify the detention. Embellished, Marcus repeated. Another gentle word for bias. Laren leaned forward. Mr. Hale, I'd like to propose a solution. If you agree, we'll issue an apology, open formal review, and ensure retraining measures. Ariel cut him off. Retraining won't fix someone like Dorn. Laren stiffened. We can't comment on disciplinary outcomes until review concludes. Marcus's voice softened. Deputy Commissioner, this isn't about revenge. I just want honesty. And change. Not a cover-up. Laren's expression flickered. We're not covering anything up. Then why? Ariel asked. Did another officer tell my father this isn't over? Laren froze. Vega exchanged a tense look with Morrow. Marcus watched them all quietly. He said it because he believes he's untouchable. Because many officers before him have been. Silence swallowed the room. Finally, Vega spoke. We'll move forward with a full investigation. No internal shortcuts. Ariel studied her carefully. And will Mr. Hale be notified of progress? Yes, Vega promised. Directly. Laren stood. Thank you for coming. We'll be in contact. As they left the building, Ariel let out a breath she'd held for an hour. They're scared. Marcus shook his head. They're defensive. Because they know the truth looks bad. Maybe, Marcus said, or maybe they know it happens too often. A voice called out behind them. Mr. Hale? A young woman approached. Camera bag over her shoulder, press badge swinging. I'm Jenna Ruiz, reporter for Civic Mirror. I heard about what happened. Could I speak with you? Ariel tensed. How did you find out? Anonymous tip from inside the precinct, Jenna said. Someone wants the truth out. Marcus weighed her words carefully. A journalism and exposure. Protection, perhaps, but also scrutiny. Ariel stepped closer. We're considering speaking out. Jenna nodded. People will listen, and they should. Marcus inhaled deeply. All right, he said. Let's talk. Jenna smiled and opened her notebook. The first crack in the department's wall had already formed. Now the public was about to see it. Jenna Ruiz met Marcus and Ariel at a quiet corner table inside a riverside cafe. Large windows overlooking the same bridge that sparked everything. Morning sunlight glimmered off the steel beams, making the water below shimmer like a reminder and a warning. Jenna clicked the recorder on. Mr. Hale, before we go on record, I need to ask, are you comfortable speaking about the incident? Marcus exchanged a glance with Ariel. Yes, but I want accuracy, not sensationalism. Good, Jenna said. I don't do sensationalism. I do truth. Ariel folded her arms. Truth has to come with context. I agree, Jenna replied. So let's start with that. She opened her notebook. You said Officer Dorn detained you without cause. Walk me through the events exactly as they happened. Marcus took a deep breath. I was walking across the bridge. Getting air. Dorn pulled up, claimed I was suspicious, asked for ID, then escalated. And you complied? I complied with everything. Jenna nodded. What made him escalate? Marcus hesitated. Existing beliefs. Bias. He saw a black man alone on a structure at night and assumed guilt. Jenna breathed out slowly. That's what I suspected. Ariel leaned forward. But this time he picked the wrong person. Jenna raised a brow. Wrong because of your father's job? Ariel corrected sharply. Wrong because my father has documentation to expose the lie he wrote in his report. Other people wouldn't. Marcus gently touched her hand. Ariel, she softened, but her eyes stayed fierce. Jenna turned to Marcus. Mr. Hale, I looked you up last night. Your engineering portfolio, it's impressive. Marcus said nothing. You led structural redesign for the river bridge, the west interchange reconstruction, and the seismic reinforcement for 3 downtown flyovers. Ariel smirked. He won't brag about it, but he basically keeps the city from falling apart. Marcus sighed. I don't keep it from falling apart. I just try to make it safer. You did more than that, Jenna said. You shaped the city. Marcus blinked at the phrasing. Simple, but heavier than he expected. Jenna leaned closer. If you're willing, I want to include your engineering work in the story. People need to see the contrast between who you are and how you were treated. Marcus hesitated. That feels like making my worthiness the reason the detention was wrong. Ariel nodded slowly. He has a point. Jenna closed her notebook. Then let me rephrase. I don't want to prove you deserved respect. I want to show how absurd it was that Dorn claimed you were tampered with the structure when you're literally the one who saved it from collapse. Marcus exhaled, a breath releasing years of quiet restraint. That's fair. Ariel added, we also want to avoid villainizing the entire department. Of course, Jenna said. But the officer's conduct, the report discrepancies, the department's hesitancy, those are facts. Marcus nodded. Facts matter. Jenna raised her recorder. Ready to go on record? He inhaled deeply. Yes. And then he spoke. For nearly half an hour, Marcus told the story. Slowly, carefully, never embellishing, never dramatizing. His tone was level, his words plain, but there was a quiet ache under every sentence. Jenna listened with unsettling stillness. When he finished, she clicked the recorder off. That, she said softly, is going to resonate. Ariel crossed her arms. Now what? You publish. Not yet, Jenna replied. Before I do, I need supporting documents. Ariel opened her laptop. We have them. Jenna's eyes widened. You do? Marcus nodded. I keep digital copies of every project I've led. He pulled out a USB drive and placed it on the table. These are the structural plans, permit approvals, and city correspondence for all highway and bridge projects I've overseen, he said. They prove my work. They prove I wasn't lying. Jenna stared at the drive like it was a key to a vault. This is invaluable. But forgive me for asking, doesn't sharing these compromise security protocols? Marcus smiled faintly. I've redacted what needed redacting. Everything here is already public record. Just buried. Ariel added. And we also have a copy of Dorn's report. Jenna blinked. How? Anonymous email, Ariel said. Someone from inside the precinct. Jenna pressed a hand to her mouth. Wow. It contradicts his actions, Ariel said. He wrote that my father refused to comply and made threatening statements about the structure. Jenna shook her head. That's not just bias. That's fabrication. Marcus's voice was low. He needed a reason to justify the detention. And now he's going to face the consequences, Jenna said. Marcus stared at the bridge outside the window. This isn't just about one officer. Ariel nodded. It's about a pattern. Jenna leaned forward. Are you comfortable with me addressing systemic issues? Marcus hesitated. Yes, as long as it's rooted in evidence. I don't want this twisted into an anti-police narrative. I want truth. Truth is a goal, Jenna said. And it's more powerful when spoken by someone who built the city, but still wasn't safe within it. Marcus's stomach tightened. Is that how you'll frame it? It's how the story frames itself, she replied. Ariel took a deep breath. What's the next step? I publish after verifying everything, Jenna said. And when I do, this city will react. Marcus looked down at his hands that had shaped blueprints, stabilized bridges, calculated load capacities, and never once expected to be handcuffed on a structure he strengthened himself. Jenna, he murmured, what happens when the story circulates? People will talk, she said. Some will defend the officer. Many will be outraged. The department will have no choice but to respond. And Dorn, Ariel asked. Jenna's voice lowered. He'll face scrutiny. Maybe more. Marcus closed his eyes. I don't want him destroyed. Ariel blinked. Dad. I want him accountable, Marcus said. Not destroyed. Jenna nodded slowly. Accountability is a narrative too few people in this position ever face. Ariel squeezed her father's hand. This is the right step. Marcus nodded. He could feel it. The shift, the turning of something long overdue. Jenna smiled softly. Get ready, Mr. Hale, because the city's about to learn your name. Marcus looked again at the river, then at the bridge carrying thousands of people each day. He had built highways. Now his story might build something else. Truth, Ariel whispered. You okay? Yes, he said quietly. For the first time, I think I am. The article dropped on a Thursday morning. By noon, the city was vibrating. Civil engineer detained on bridge, he helped design report contradicts officers claims expert who shaped city infrastructure speaks out. Headlines spread across social feeds and local news broadcasts like a spark running across dry grass. Comment exploded. Outrage, disbelief, questions demanding answers. Marcus sat in his living room staring at the screen, heart pounding as Jenna's article scrolled. Ariel paced behind him, phone buzzing nonstop with texts from classmates, colleagues, even professors. Dad, this is everywhere, she said, almost breathless. Marcus rubbed his temples. I didn't expect it to move this fast. She wrote it beautifully, Ariel said. Powerful. Clear. You sound like a hero. Marcus shook his head. I'm not a hero. I just told the truth. Ariel softened. Sometimes truth is heroic. Before Marcus could respond, her phone rang again. She hissed when she saw the number. Dad, it's Channel 9. Marcus blinked. A news station? They want an interview. Marcus's chest tightened. No, not yet. I can't. Ariel squeezed his shoulder. You don't have to. You set the spark. Let it burn on its own. He closed his eyes, letting her words ground him. Then the doorbell rang. Ariel peeked out the window. Dad, there are reporters outside. Marcus's stomach dropped. Already? Ariel nodded. A lot. Marcus stood, breath shaky. I don't want to be a spectacle. They'll calm down, she said. You don't have to talk to them. But the truth was, the world was already talking, with or without him. The police department responds. Across town, The precinct felt less like a workplace and more like a boiling kettle. Officer Dorn stormed through the hallway, waving a printed article. "This is slander." Officer Owen trailed behind him. "It's not slander if it's true." "You're taking a side again?" Dorn spat. "I'm taking the side of facts," Owen replied. "The report doesn't match what happened, and now the public knows." Dorn's face twisted. "He set me up?" Owen stopped walking. "He didn't set you up. He told the truth. You set yourself up." Dorn jabbed a finger at him. "He's making me look like a racist." Owen exhaled. "Dorn, you need to consider that maybe you acted like one." A hush fell. Officers nearby froze, listening. Dorn's jaw clenched so tightly the veins in his neck bulged. "You're going to regret saying that." "No," Owen said quietly. "I've been regretting staying silent." Before Dorn could respond, Lieutenant Carson stepped out of his office. "Dorn, my office. Now." Dorn's eyes darted dangerously, but he obeyed. Owen watched him go, heart heavy. Maybe this was the beginning of justice, or the beginning of something worse. Public reaction intensifies. A few hours later, Marcus and Ariel slipped out the back of the house to avoid reporters and drove to the Civic Auditorium, where Marcus was scheduled to speak at an infrastructure forum. The event had been planned months earlier, long before any of this, but now the buzz was electric. Inside, city officials, engineers, students, and journalists filled the seats. Ariel whispered, "They're here for you, or for the controversy," Marcus murmured. Jenna Ruiz approached, recorder in one hand, camera crew in tow. "Marcus, good to see you. Thank you for agreeing to still speak." "I committed to the forum," he said. "That hasn't changed." "But everything else has," Jenna replied with a wry smile. A city representative stepped on stage. "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our keynote speaker, Marcus Hale." Applause erupted, longer than usual. Not polite, fierce. Marcus walked to the podium, the weight of the room pressing down on him. Ariel stood in the wings, hands clasped tightly. He cleared his throat. "Good afternoon. I appreciate you all being here." The room hushed instantly. "I intended today's talk to focus on sustainable highway design," he continued, "but recent events have shifted perspective." A ripple of murmurs. Marcus let his hands rest lightly on the podium. "2 nights ago, I was detained on a bridge I helped design. Not because I broke a law, not because I posed a threat, but because someone looked at me and assumed danger." Silence hit, like a dropped stone. "Many of you know me as an engineer," Marcus continued. "But before that title, before the degrees and projects, I am a black man in a city where that often means my presence must be justified." A low, aching sigh moved through the audience. "My work has shaped roads, overpasses, transportation routes, structures meant to connect communities. Yet the society crossing them still struggles to see people like me as belonging anywhere." A voice shouted softly, "You belong." Marcus smiled faintly. "Thank you." He continued, voice low but steady. "I don't share this to vilify one officer. I share it because what happened to me has happened to thousands whose names don't appear in headlines. What protected me was not justice. It was recognition. My resume shouldn't be the reason I'm treated with dignity." Ariel wiped a tear quietly from backstage. Marcus leaned closer to the microphone. "We must build more than highways. We must build a city where humanity is the foundation." The audience rose, applause crashing in waves, sustained and emotional. Jenna stood among them, recording everything. Marcus stepped back from the podium, overwhelmed. A councilwoman approached him afterward. "Mr. Hale, your words, they'll echo further than you think." Marcus nodded. "I hope they echo in the places that need them most." Internal pressure rises. Back at the precinct, Lieutenant Carson stared at Dorn across his desk. "You understand the gravity of the situation, right?" Carson asked quietly. Dorn folded his arms. "This is a political firestorm. Not my fault." Carson's patience cracked. "Your conduct created this." Dorn sneered. "He's twisting my intentions." Carson tapped a file on the desk. "There's footage, Dorn." Dorn blinked. "What footage?" A dash cam caught part of the interaction. and it doesn't match your report. Dorn's face drained of color. Carson spoke coldly. You're being placed under formal review, effective immediately. You're suspending me? Dorn growled. Pending investigation, yes. Dorn lunged forward. You're throwing me to the wolves. No, Carson said, standing. You walked into them. Marcus leaves the auditorium. When Marcus stepped outside after the forum, the crowd surged forward, questions, cameras, shouts. He felt Ariel latch onto his arm. Jenna approached. Marcus, how do you feel? You moved the entire room. Marcus inhaled shakily. Exposed. Ariel whispered, brave? But before he could respond, a stranger in the crowd called out, Mr. Hale, can we walk with you across the bridge? As a show of support. Marcus froze. The bridge, where it all began. People around him echoed, yes, walk with him. Ariel watched her father carefully. Dad. Marcus hesitated. His heart raced. His palms tingled with the memory of cold handcuffs. But then he saw the crowd, students, families, engineers, activists, ordinary citizens, looking at him with solidarity, not suspicion. He exhaled. Yes, he said quietly. Let's walk. A cheer erupted. Jenna raised her camera. This is history. As they moved toward the bridge, a wave of humanity surrounding him, Marcus realized something. He wasn't walking alone anymore. Not tonight. Not ever again. The walk across the bridge made headlines overnight. Hundreds marched with engineer detained by police bridge walk, become similar cities' call for accountability. By morning, the city wasn't merely talking. It was demanding. At home, Marcus sat at a dining table, coffee untouched, scrolling through messages from strangers thanking him for speaking out. Some shared their own stories of being profiled. Others expressed disbelief that someone who had shaped the city's infrastructure could be treated so dismissively. Ariel entered, yawning. Dad, you didn't sleep, did you? Marcus shook his head. Too much noise. The good kind, she asked. Marcus considered. Not sure yet. Before she could respond, his phone rang. The screen flashed. Deputy Commissioner Laren. Marcus answered hesitantly. Hello. Laren's voice was tight. Mr. Hale, I need to speak with you. The investigation into Officer Dorn has uncovered concerning patterns. Ariel's eyes widened. Marcus asked softly, Patterns? Yes, Laren replied. Can you come to headquarters this afternoon? Marcus hesitated. Returning there so soon felt heavy, but he nodded. I'll be there. Inside the department walls. By early afternoon, Marcus walked into the building where humiliation had once pressed down on him like a physical weight. Ariel walked beside him, chin held high. Laren met them outside his office, expression strained. Thank you for coming. Ariel crossed her arms. What did you find? Laren exhaled. Follow me. He led them into a conference room where Inspector Vega waited, a thick folder on the table. Vega gestured for them to sit. Mr. Hale, Ms. Hale, we've completed a preliminary review of Officer Dorn's record. Marcus braced himself. What did you uncover? Vega opened the folder. Multiple stops similar to yours. Unjustified detentions. Patterns of selective enforcement. Complaints filed, then withdrawn or dismissed. Ariel's voice trembled with anger. Dismissed why? Morrow, entering late, answered quietly. Complainants feared retaliation. Some felt it wouldn't matter. Marcus sank back in his chair. So this isn't new. Vega shook her head. No, but yours is the first case with public visibility and city-level scrutiny. Ariel pressed. So what happens now? Laren spoke carefully. Officer Dorn has been suspended pending a full internal affairs investigation. And based on the evidence, disciplinary action is likely. Marcus frowned. Likely is vague. Vega leaned forward. Mr. Hale, Dorn's situation is serious. There's even talk of a referral for external review. Ariel blinked. External review? Like state oversight. Yes, Vega said. Marcus swallowed. I don't want to destroy the man. Laren's voice softened. You're not. His actions and his record brought him here. Ariel added sharply, accountability isn't destruction. Marcus nodded slowly, though his stomach twisted. I understand, but I still feel conflicted. Vega closed the folder gently. You don't have to feel comfortable with this. You just have to understand that it's necessary. Marcus looked away, voice low. I never wanted this level of attention. Ariel touched his arm. You didn't seek it. It found you. Laren cleared his throat. There's one more thing. They both looked up. The mayor wants to meet with you. Marcus stared at him. Why? Laren hesitated. To discuss potential reforms. And to apologize personally. Ariel let out a breath. Good. Marcus wasn't sure what he felt. Validation, fear, exhaustion, gratitude. All of it collided inside him. He nodded. When? Tomorrow, Laren said. At City Hall. Outside the department. As Marcus and Ariel exited the building, journalists swarmed forward. Flashes popping. Microphones extended. Mr. Hale, do you have a comment on Officer Dorn's suspension? Do you think the department is doing enough? Will you pursue legal action? Marcus raised his hands. Please, one at a time. A reporter pushed forward. Mr. Hale, what do you say to people calling you a catalyst for change? He hesitated. I say I didn't ask to be a catalyst. But if my experience pushes the city to reflect, then I hope it leads somewhere meaningful. Jenna, Ruiz approached from the back. Marcus, she called gently. Can we talk later? He nodded. Yes, thank you. When they reached the car, Ariel exhaled heavily. Dad, this is bigger than us now. Marcus looked down at the asphalt. Roads he understood intimately. The angles, the pressure, the way heavy loads dispersed. Yes, he murmured. Change always starts heavier than you expect. Officer Dorn's breaking point. At that same moment, inside a small office at the precinct, Officer Dorn stared at the suspension letter lying on his desk. His hands trembled. They're turning on me. Owen stood by the doorway, arms crossed. They're holding you accountable. This is your fault, Dorn spat. You kept defending him. I defended the truth, Owen said calmly. You think you're better than me? Dorn growled. Owen shook his head. I think you're scared of what you've always been. Dorn lunged forward. Say that again. Owen didn't flinch. You're scared because the system that protected you is finally questioning you. Dorn's face twisted. He ruined me. No, Owen said quietly. You ruined yourself. For the first time, Dorn's shoulders sagged, the facade cracking. What am I supposed to do now? He whispered. Owen stared at him. A man who had wielded power without restraint, now stripped of it. That's not my burden. Owen said, It's yours. City Hall preparations. Later that evening, Marcus sat on the front porch, the sunset painting the sky gold. Ariel stepped outside with 2 cups of tea. You okay? She asked, sitting beside him. I don't know, Marcus admitted. I never wanted to be a symbol. You're not, she said. You're a person who stood up when it mattered. Marcus sipped his tea. I'm not used to being seen. Ariel smiled softly. You've been seen by this city for decades, Dad. They just didn't know your face. He chuckled. And now they know too much. Ariel nudged him gently. You changed something today. Marcus looked out at the darkening sky. Maybe. Or maybe I just exposed what was already broken. Ariel rested her head on his shoulder. Either way, tomorrow's meeting matters. He nodded. Yes, it does. A moment of quiet passed, warm and steady. Ariel whispered, Are you ready? Marcus closed his eyes. Yes, he said. Ready or not, it's here. They watched the last sliver of sun sink below the horizon. Tomorrow, he would walk into City Hall. Not as a man detained, not as a man questioned, but as a man the city could no longer ignore. City Hall loomed ahead like a monument to order, tall, stately, cool in its marble confidence. As Marcus approached, Ariel beside him, clusters of people gathered outside. Journalists, activists, students, engineers, ordinary citizens curious to see the man whose story had rattled the city. When Marcus stepped through the revolving doors, the whispers followed. That's him. The engineer. The one who got stopped. Did you see the video from the bridge walk? He didn't respond. He kept walking. A staffer guided him upstairs to a conference room overlooking the river. The bridge stretched across the horizon, steel shining beneath winter sun. The sight made Marcus pause. Everything okay? Ariel murmured. Yes, he whispered. Just remembering. The door opened. The mayor entered, a middle-aged black woman with steel in her eyes and exhaustion around the edges. Mr. Hale, she said warmly, extending her hand. Thank you for meeting with me. Marcus shook it. Thank you for inviting me. The mayor nodded to Ariel. And this must be your daughter. You've been quite the advocate. Ariel smiled politely. Someone had to be. The mayor gestured for them to sit. Let's get right to it. What happened to you should never have happened. Not to you, not to anyone. Marcus swallowed. Thank you. That acknowledgement matters. I'm not here for optics, the mayor continued. Officers abusing their authority is a systemic issue, and your story is shining light on cracks we've ignored too long. Ariel asked, What exactly do you intend to do about it? The mayor folded her hands. We're initiating a public inquiry into policing patterns, racial disparities, misuse of discretionary stops, disciplinary record mishandling. Dorn's case accelerated it. Marcus blinked. A public inquiry? Yes, the mayor confirmed. It's overdue. Ariel leaned in. And Officer Dorn? The mayor sighed. Internal Affairs has recommended formal charges. Falsifying police report, unlawful detainment, and conduct unbecoming. Marcus tensed. The room felt smaller. Ariel whispered, Dad, this is accountability. Marcus nodded slowly, though his chest tightened. I understand, but he's still a person. The mayor met his gaze. He uses authority to diminish your humanity. That cannot go unanswered. Silence stretched. Finally, Marcus asked, Why now? Why respond so strongly to this? The mayor spoke gently. Because your story is undeniable. You are respected, visible, accomplished. If someone like you can be treated this way, the city can no longer pretend the system works. Ariel added quietly, It never worked. It can, the mayor replied, but only if people like you push it to change. Marcus exhaled. I didn't push. I was just tired. Sometimes, the mayor said, change starts with someone who finally gets tired enough to stop carrying the weight. Marcus looked out the window. At the bridge he reinforced years ago. Bridges held weight, immense weight, yet they could hold only so much before strain revealed weaknesses. People weren't so different. Dorn reacts. Meanwhile, across town, Dorn sat in his darkened living room. The suspension letter open on the coffee table. His TV blasted coverage of Marcus's speech and the mayor's inquiry announcement. A reporter said, Officer Dorn is currently suspended pending formal review. Dorn hurled a remote. Lies. All lies. His phone buzzed with messages from colleagues, some supportive, most distant, a few condemning. He dialed Owen. Owen answered cautiously. Dorn. You did this, Dorn spat. No, Owen replied. You did. I've been on this force 15 years, and they're throwing me away because of him. Owen took a breath. Because of what you did to him. Dorn's voice trembled with rage. He humiliated me. He told the truth, Owen said, and now the whole city sees it. Dorn's breathing grew erratic. I'm not the villain. Then stop acting like one, Owen said quietly, before Dorn could respond. Owen hung up. The silence in Dorn's house grew sharp as broken glass. The community meeting. That evening, Marcus attended a community meeting at the request of several local leaders. It was held in a school gymnasium filled with folding chairs, hand-painted posters, and the murmurs of people carrying stories of their own. When Marcus arrived, applause rippled through the room, not loud but heartfelt. A facilitator guided him to the front row. Ariel sat beside him. An older man stood. Mr. Hale, what happened to you? It's happened to many of us. A younger woman added, Seeing your story made me feel seen. A teen boy whispered, It made me less scared. Marcus felt his throat tighten. He stood hesitantly as people looked to him. I don't know what to say, he he admitted. I didn't want to represent anything. I didn't want this attention. I just wanted to walk across a bridge. A voice from the back replied, "That's exactly why it matters." Ariel squeezed his hand. A woman in nursing scrubs stepped forward. "When I read your story, I thought about my son. I worry about him every time he walks to school. You gave us a chance to talk about what we live through every day." Marcus swallowed hard. "I'm honored, truly, but I don't want this to be about me alone." "It isn't," someone said. "It's about all of us." Marcus nodded. "Then let's talk about how we move forward." For the next hour, people shared experiences, traffic stops, wrongful suspicions, silence complaints. Marcus listened, feeling each story land like stones on a scale that had long been tipped against him. When the meeting ended, a young girl approached him shyly. "Mr. Hale?" "Yes." "Did the officer ever say sorry?" Marcus knelt slightly. "No, not yet." She frowned. "He should." He smiled gently. "Maybe one day." Ariel whispered beside him. "Maybe, but we don't need his apology to heal." He knew she was right. Later that night, back at home, Marcus stepped out into the backyard alone. The sky stretched dark above him, the stars faint through city haze. Ariel slid the patio door open. "You're out here thinking again." He smiled faintly. "Always." She joined him. "What's on your mind?" Marcus took a long breath. "That girl asked if Dorn apologized. I realize I'm not waiting for one. I don't expect one. But part of me," he paused, "part of me wishes he could understand the weight of what he did." Ariel leaned against him. "Understanding is different from remorse." "Yes," he murmured, "but maybe understanding is enough." A beat passed. Ariel asked softly, "Do you think the system can change?" Marcus looked up at the faint constellation lines barely visible above the city lights. "Systems don't change themselves," he said. "People change them. One voice forces another to listen. One act forces another to reflect." "And you?" Ariel asked. "What are you forcing?" He smiled sadly. "A conversation the city avoided for too long." Ariel nodded. "And tomorrow?" "Tomorrow," Marcus whispered, "we begin something new." She rested her head on his shoulder. They stood in silence. The night cool around them, city lights blinking like tiny beacons of possibility. City Hall's chamber was filled to capacity. Council members seated in a semicircle, journalists pressed shoulder to shoulder, community members filling every seat and lining the walls. It wasn't just a disciplinary hearing. It had become a public reckoning. Marcus sat near the front alongside Ariel. He wore a simple dark suit, hands folded tightly, calm but alert. Ariel squeezed his knee. "You ready?" she whispered. "No," he said honestly, "but that never stopped me before." A door opened. Officer Dorn entered, escorted by Internal Affairs. His face was pale, jaw clenched, eyes darting from Marcus to the crowd to the cameras. He looked smaller, without the confidence of his uniform behind him. The council chair, a stern woman with tired eyes, struck her gavel. "We are here to address the findings of the investigation into Officer Kurt Dorn regarding the unlawful detainment of Mr. Marcus Hale." The murmurs died instantly. "Officer Dorn," she continued, "you may speak." Dorn stood stiffly. I acted according to my training. The bridge is a sensitive structure. His behavior was suspicious." A councilman raised a hand. "Suspicious how?" "He was pacing," Dorn muttered. Marcus spoke up gently. "Thinking is not a crime." Dorn bristled. "You were evasive." "I was cooperative," Marcus replied. "You didn't." The chair interjected. "Officer Dorn, your report contains multiple statements that contradict witness testimony, camera footage, and dispatch recordings. Would you like to explain those discrepancies?" Dorn swallowed. "I interpreted the situation. I felt threatened." Ariel stood abruptly. "You felt threatened by a man walking alone with his hands visible?" "My father didn't even raise his voice." The chair rapped the gavel lightly. "Ms. Hale, please sit." Ariel sat, but her glare never left Dorn. The chair turned to Marcus. "Mr. Hale, would you like to make a statement?" Marcus stood slowly. All eyes followed him. He walked to the podium, paused, then spoke. When I stepped onto that bridge, I wanted stillness. I never imagined I would leave in handcuffs. The room held its breath. I complied with every instruction. I answered every question. It didn't matter. My presence was treated as suspicion, my identity as threat, my explanations as lies. Dorn flinched. Marcus continued, voice steady but filled with ache. But this is not just about what happened to me. It is about what could have happened to anyone. I was protected by my reputation. Most people aren't. He turned toward Dorn. I don't hate you. I don't want your destruction. I want you to learn. I want the department to learn. Silence swept the room like a tide. Dorn's voice cracked. You don't understand what it's like out there. Constant danger. Constant fear. Marcus met his gaze. I understand fear. I've lived with it my entire life. But fear doesn't give you the right to strip others of dignity. Dorn looked away. Marcus finished softly. Bridges carry weight. So do choices. He returned to his seat. Ariel touched his hand, her eyes shining with pride. Public testimony. Community members spoke next, one by one, sharing similar stories of being profiled, dismissed, or intimidated. Each testimony chipped away at the facade of Dorn's defensiveness. Finally, Owen stepped forward. His voice was measured. I was there when Mr. Hale was detained. He complied with everything. The only escalation came from Officer Dorn. Gasps rippled. Owen continued. I should have spoken sooner. I let hierarchy silence truth. For that, I apologize to Mr. Hale and this community. Marcus nodded gratefully. Dorn's shoulders collapsed. The council deliberates. The council chair stood. We will now deliberate. They retreated for several long minutes. The room buzzed with tension. Marcus breathed slowly. Ariel squeezed his arm. No matter what happens, you change something. He nodded. For the city and for myself. The council returned. Officer Dorn, the chair began. The findings show a pattern of biased policing, falsified reporting, and misuse of authority. Dorn's breath hitched. Effective immediately, you are removed from field duty, placed on administrative leave without pay, and referred to the State Review Board for decertification. The room erupted, shock, murmurs, flashes from cameras. Dorn shook his head violently. You're ending my career over one mistake? The chair responded firmly. It wasn't one mistake. It was a series of choices. Dorn's eyes darted to Marcus, a storm of anger, fear, and regret swirling in them. I didn't want. His voice broke. Marcus looked at him, not gloating, not triumphant, just solemn. Ariel whispered, He's realizing what accountability looks like. Marcus nodded. And what it feels like. After the hearing, outside City Hall, the crowd gathered again. When Marcus emerged, applause swelled, not chaotic, but warm and steady. Jenna Ruiz pushed forward. Marcus, the council's decision is significant. Do you have a comment? He thought a long moment. Then, justice isn't about punishing one man. It's about changing the ground we walk on. I hope the city keeps walking. Reporters wrote furiously. Ariel added softly, and keeps listening. The bridge one last time. That evening, Marcus returned to the river bridge alone. He stepped onto the metal walkway, the wind humming against the beams just as it had the night of his detention. But now the bridge felt different, lighter, somehow, or perhaps he was. Jenna approached quietly from behind. Didn't think anyone would be here. Marcus smiled. Old habits. This place helps me think. She joined him. How do you feel? Tired, he said. Relieved. Heavy. Free. All at once. Jenna nodded. Your words today, they'll shape policy. Maybe even save lives. Marcus closed his eyes. I hope so. A moment passed. Then Jenna asked gently, Do you want to be part of the city's new community oversight board? The mayor plans to propose it next month. Marcus blinked. Me? You? Jenna said. People trust you. They need someone who understands both systems, engineering and humanity. He chuckled softly. Two things that often break under pressure. Or hold, she countered. if designed well. Marcus turned toward the skyline. Lights shimmered across the water, outlining roads he'd shaped, intersections he'd imagined, a city continuing because of foundations he laid. Maybe it was time to help redesign something else. "I'll think about it," he said quietly. "Take your time," Jenna replied. She left him there, standing on the bridge. Marcus placed a hand on the railing. Cold metal touched his palm, steady, grounded. He whispered into the wind, "We all carry weight, but we don't have to carry it alone." The river below surged forward, relentless, unstoppable, alive. And for the first time in years, Marcus felt the same.